public affairs consultant, right? That's got to be one of the most fascinating fields out there. You're shaping policies, you're working behind the scenes where the real decisions are made, advocating for your clients. We've got a ton of resources here, so let's dive right into this deep dive and see what it really takes to be a public affairs consultant.
Oh, absolutely. It's a career that's definitely evolved. I mean, forget those images of smoky back rooms, you know. We're talking digital campaigns going viral, building coalitions online. It's all about navigating this, well, this complex relationship between politics and regulations these days.
Yeah, and your role catcher guide, it jumps right into it. Talking about being the strategic bridge, love that term, by the way, between your clients and the people making the big decisions. But what does that actually look like on the day-to-day basis?
Well, it's a lot more nuanced than just being a lobbyist, right? You're not just, knocking on doors and calling it a day. It's about crafting the message that makes those doors swing open in the first place.
Okay, I like that.
So think, really deep dives into public policy, the kind of research that wouldn't fit on a sticky note. You're building relationships with these major players, the stakeholders. It's about understanding the whole playing field, not just your little corner of it.
So you're not just representing a client, you're shaping the public's opinion too. That's high impact stuff.
Yeah. But the guide also mentions long hours and a whole lot of stress. Sounds like you need the resilience of, something really tough to handle that kind of pressure.
Yeah, it's not a career for the faint of heart, that's for sure. When you're dealing with these really contentious issues, trying to find common ground, between people who might be on completely opposite sides, yeah, the pressure's on, but that's also where the reward is, right? That potential to actually affect change. I mean, that's a powerful motivator. And speaking of rewards, the guide lays out this career path that, well, it doesn't stop at consultant. You're talking like junior consultant, moving up to public affairs manager, maybe even director level. Is it really that linear though, that progression?
I'd say it's more like a choose your own adventure, but you're leveling up your skills as you go. The key is that strong foundation. And the guide, it really stresses this. You need top-tier communication skills, persuasion. And it's not just talking, it's getting people to actually listen, to really hear you. And the research skills, man, you're basically like Sherlock Holmes for the policy world.
So not just good exceptional, you're not asking for a favor, you're bringing something really valuable to the table. And it's not just knowing the stuff, it's knowing how to use it.
Exactly. And that's where those real-world examples in the guide are so helpful, right? Like, imagine an entry-level consultant. They're learning the ropes. They're attending meetings, maybe drafting some communications. They're building that foundation, soaking it all in. And then you move up, right? You become a junior consultant. And that's where they really start, getting their hands dirty. They're developing strategies. They're digging deeper into the research. They're building those relationships with policymakers. It's like they're not just playing the game anymore. They're starting to really understand how it works.
And then at the senior level, it's like they're rewriting the rule book, right? You're leading the charge, you're giving this high-level advice, you're probably having coffee with people whose names we can't even mention.
Oh yeah, that's the top of the food chain for sure. But, you don't get there by accident. The guide, it really stresses this idea of continuous learning. Like maybe you go for a certified public affairs specialist designation, or you decide to, dive into a master's in public administration. It's about constantly sharpening that edge.
So you're always leveling up your skills, just like in a video game. And speaking of leveling up, you included some info from RoleCatcher in this week's stack. They've got that AI-powered resume builder, which is, it's pretty wild. And then the interview practice tools, they even have something that analyzes job descriptions, right? Is that the kind of edge someone needs? And let's be honest, it's a crazy competitive field.
Yeah, it's like having a secret weapon,
Yeah.
Especially when you're first starting out and you're trying to stand out. And the guide's right. Public affairs, it's a crowded room. You really need to be able to showcase those skills to explain what makes you different, what you bring to the table that nobody else does.
And it's not just about traditional media anymore, is it? The guide mentioned this shift towards digital advocacy. What does that actually mean for a public affairs consultant today?
So imagine this. You're not just shaping policy, you're shaping the entire conversation around it online. Instead of just, sending out press releases, you're building online communities, you're crafting narratives that can go viral, you're using data to really target your message. It's a whole new ballgame.
So you need to be like tech savvy on top of everything
Exactly.
else. You're not just analyzing policies, you're analyzing algorithms. That's pretty wild. But this whole idea of shaping the conversation online, I mean, that's powerful stuff. Are there any examples of that in the guide?
Oh yeah, there are some like really eye-opening examples in here. One that really stuck with me was how these grassroots campaigns are using social media. Like they're actually mobilizing support, even influencing legislation, all through Twitter and Facebook.
Right. It's like they're taking that old school activism and putting it on steroids or something.
Totally. And that's what's so exciting, right?
Wow.
You're not just, reacting to the political landscape anymore. You're actively like shaping it.
Hmm.
You're using these tools, these platforms to really advocate for your clients.
Yeah.
I mean, to really make a difference.
Yeah. It's like you said before, it's not just about whispering in the ears of power. You're amplifying voices that might never even get in the room otherwise.
Exactly. Think about like how a social media campaign can completely change how the public sees an issue, right? It's not just about who's got the biggest microphone anymore. It's
Yeah.
about who knows how to use it, how to really make it work for them.
So you need that blend. You need those traditional skills, right? Like understanding policy, knowing how to craft a really persuasive argument, but then you need that whole digital skill set on top of it. That's a lot to master.
That's why it's all about continuous learning in this field. The
Mhm.
political landscape's always shifting. Tech is evolving faster, well, faster than ever. And a good public affairs consultant, they have to be adaptable,
Mm.
always learning, always, staying one step ahead.
It's like you're playing this high stakes game where the rules are constantly changing.
And that's what makes it so, so challenging, but also so rewarding.
Yeah.
You're not just, punching a clock. You're out there. You're actually shaping the world around you.
This deep dive has been, wow, incredible. I mean, we've gone from the very core of what a public affairs consultant does all the way to how the field is like rapidly evolving right before our eyes.
And don't forget about those RoleCatcher tools. Having that extra edge, I mean, it can make all the difference, especially when you're just starting out in such a competitive field.
Absolutely. You heard it here first. If you're looking for a career that lets you shape opinions, influence policy, maybe even change the world, public affairs consultant, it might just be the path for you.
Just remember,
Yeah.
it's not just about climbing that ladder, right? It's about using your skills and your voice to make a real impact.
And hey, who knows? Maybe someday you'll be the one giving back, mentoring the next generation of public affairs rock stars.
Well, that's something worth thinking about.